Hey friends, it's Ryan. Today I'm going to do a little bit of investigative work with the stars. If you've been following the news lately, you have heard that the Supreme Court of the United States has not identified the leaker of the opinion that overturned Roe v. Wade back in May. And I decided yesterday to do some investigating, and it didn't take me very long to figure out who it was. So I'm going to walk you through this. It's pretty simple. For those of you that don't know me personally, I am a lawyer during the day, so I've been fascinated with the Supreme Court for many decades. I've been practicing for well over a decade now, and the Supreme Court's always been a fascination of mine, and I've been following it, and there's been a lot of weird things just with the shift in the court, and I'm not going to get too much into that, but it's so obvious that it's kind of funny. So I have the birth chart pulled up of the leak. So it was leaked by Politico, the opinion, on May 2nd, 2022 at 8:32 p.m. This was marked on the Political website. So I was able to pull that up in Arlington. Now, this chart is the Vedic sidereal chart, and I have the nakshatras pulled up here. So I can get the exact time of the leaked opinion, and I want to talk a little bit about the nakshatras and what's going on. It's fascinating. So let's start. We always start with the ascendant, which is on the easternmost horizon of the sky. So you'll notice here that it's in Vishaka, in the sign of Libra, and right on top of the ascendant is K2, the south node of the moon, and K2 is always something a little bit otherworldly, something from the past, a lot about ancestors, a lot about doctors, and a lot about family. So this is fascinating to see. It's something otherworldly coming up out of the blue, right? That was that leaked opinion. No one expected this. It was a huge betrayal. Vishaka is known as the branched one, and it's in the sign of Libra, which is, of course, the sign of the scales and the sign of the quartz. I mean, sometimes astrology is so accurate, it's kind of ridiculous. So Vishaka is very much about the branched one. It's about going in two different directions. It's about the split. So this will become important probably later on, but I want you to really pay attention to the fact that this is K2 right on top of the ascendant. Very interesting overall. Okay, so this is the opinion, okay? The leak, essentially. Now, everyone else in the world is over here. That's seventh house. It's the other, right? So look at what's over here. It's Rahu, the sun, Uranus, surprise, and it's all in the sign of Barony and Critica. And this is vastly important here because in Vedic astrology, the male genitalia, the male reproductive system, is actually ruled by Libra, and the female reproductive system is actually ruled by Aries, specifically Barony. Barony is the star or the nakshatra of death and rebirth, specifically giving birth. So you see huge surprises coming to light. That's that Sun, Uranus, shocking surprises affecting women's reproductive health here. Fascinating, right? And then the moon, we always got to look at moon for Vedic astrology, is sitting in Rohini, and this is very important too. This is the favorite nakshatra of moon, and there are certain folklore or mythology that comes with Rohini here, and it kind of has to do with stealing, to be honest. It has to do with stealing spouses, but there's an element of stealing in Rohini here. The other thing I want to point out about this particular opinion, which I think people will find fascinating, is I want to take a look at the axis by which this is coming out about. So the means by which this is all coming to light, so by which is coming to the public, is always through that 10th house. And look at where the height of it is at. It's in Maga. This is K2, a K2 ruled nakshatra. There's, Maga is all over the news. Ruled by kings. It has a lot to do with authority here. And then the seat of power of this particular opinion is in Dhanishta, and right on top of Saturn, on top of it, which is very interesting. In the 4th house of the most private house, basically, right? That this is a secret house. It's typically known as the home, things happening in the home that are not public to anyone. And here is Saturn right on top of the seat of power, making, this Maga, Dhanishta axis, essentially. Very interesting that this is coming out. And then Dhanishta is known as the name, okay? The wealthy one, giving a name, giving fame, right? So, and Saturn is restriction, delay, obstacles, barriers. So whoever leaked it, essentially, the name is unknown and Saturn is blocking it. Saturn is known for his disguises, right? Not for too long, though, and I will show you why. The other thing that we should probably look at here is Mercury. Mercury is the writer, the speaker, the publisher, the communicator. Here's Mercury sitting in the sign of Kritika, activated by Sun, Bharani, activated by Venus, which rules Libra, right? Okay, so there's some interesting interplay here, but this is very important. So the author, Mercury over here, is sitting in Kritika. Kritika is known as the sword. It's very critical, okay? Keep that in mind. Kritika is known for fire, Agni, but it is it's a fierce nakshatra, to say the least. Okay, so I'm trying to give you some of these hints, but Moon is also important. Moon is in Rohini. I want you to pay attention to that. Now, what we want to do is figure out the timeline of this particular leak. So what we do is we go into the Vimshtori system and we determine exactly who is ruling this particular ruling or this leak, and how it all plays out. So we always start with the moon. Whatever nakshatra moon is in, whatever planet activates the nakshatra that the moon is in, basically that's where we start. So it happens to be Rohini is activated by moon. So moon loves to be in Rohini, and it's in here. There's a whole bunch of mythology around it, but essentially it's moon. And I have the system pulled up here. So May 2nd, moon Rahu. Isn't that interesting? It's a moon Rahu. It's a moon Rahu, Mahadasha, and Antardasha, essentially starting out. So we want to pay attention to moon and Rahu, and this is going to go for about 10 months, 9 days, and then it's going to switch to moon Jupiter on March 11th, 2023. So just in a couple of months here. So what we want to do is go back to our planetary chart and take a look at moon Rahu. Again, it was Rohini, right? Here's moon in Rohini, in the 8th house. From the ascendant, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8th house is secrets, hidden things, the underworld, right? Very interesting. Here's the author. And then Rahu is also sitting in Kritika, critical, cutting with the sword, right? So that is fascinating, but then this is really where I want us to focus. Dhanishta, the name. Saturn is preventing the public, okay, from seeing this? The wealthy one, the name. Okay, so let's take a look at the D9 chart to get the true impact, the true essence of these planets and see where things are at. And again, it's just fascinating to look at the D9 chart because we're taking another glimpse into the true nature of this opinion. The ascendant falls in Rohini. It's Moon. And where's Moon? In the 12th house of hidden things. Unseen. In Bharani. Again, Moon is mother. Moon is family. Bharani is the reproductive system. 12th house has to deal with losses. So this is just fascinating to really take a look at here. So we want to take a look, of course, at the ascendant. Where does the moon go from the ascendant? In the 12th house. Ketu here is in Punarvasu. Punarvasu is known as the return of the light. So that will become important for us down the road here. But Rahu, which is the Antardasha activation point here, is in Purvashada, in the sign of Sagittarius. And Purvashada is another Venus-ruled nakshatra, and it has a lot to do with sexuality. It's known as Appa. The deity that rules this area of the chart is Appa, and it's water, and it's often associated with semen, to be quite honest. So, and again, when we start counting here to where a moon is and where Rahu is, the 12th house, hidden things, losses, for family, motherhood, reproductive system, and then from Taurus to Rahu, it's in the 8th, hidden things once again. Purvashada. This is also conflict and war. So, I mean, sometimes it's so, sometimes it's just so easy to see. But what we wanted to also look at here was the moon-ruled nakshatras, essentially, right? Because moon is right now the Mahadasha Lord. So moon is going to activate all of the nakshatras ruled by moon. So that's Rohini, the first house here in the D9 chart. It's also Hasta. This is where sun is at. Very interesting. Hasta is the hand. Okay. And then it's also Shravana up here in the 9th house of publishing. And Hasta happens to land in the 5th house of children. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5th house of children. So moon is going to activate these 3 nakshatras, and it's also going to activate, it might activate sun here. Let's just go back to the Rashi chart. Okay, so Shravana right here. This is the D1 Rashi chart. Nothing in here, but it's in the 4th house of home, the most private part, right? And here's Dhanishta, the name, right? We also want to take a look at Rohini. Here's Moon. It's going to activate Moon, and then let's see here. We have Rohini, Shravana, and what's the other? Hasta. It's in the 11th. Okay, so pay attention to that because Hasta is going to be important in the D9 chart here. So what we want to do is, who is the publisher, right? And we got to think about this in a couple different ways. And do I have the right one pulled up here? Yeah. Sorry, I'm just taking a look at a few things here. I want to make sure I get this right. Yeah, so I have this pulled up. Oh, shoot. Let's go back. No, let's go back. Oh shoot, what did I do? Sorry. This is the right one. Okay, yes. All right, so this is the D9 Rashi chart. Hasta's the hand. And and it's ruled by Mercury, right? So what I was saying is Moon Rahu is going to be really important for this particular leaked opinion. Moon here in Barney, female reproductive system, losses, who is the author, hidden, we're not really sure. And Rahu is known as for his illusions, right? Because this is the Antardasha Lord, and it's in Purvashada, which is ruled by Venus, okay? So Venus will activate Rahu here, but Rahu is the illusionist after all, right, too? And it's in this particular area of the chart of Sagittarius, which is publishing, right? So it's just fascinating to see. But Hasta is going to be the hand, right? Sun. Go back to D1. K2, where's Sun? Barony. Okay. And then Rahu is in critical, which is activated by the Sun. This is the Sun. This is one of the Sun-ruled nakshatras. It can be pretty fierce at times, and it can be very, very critical. Okay. So when I first looked at this, and I was seeing that Moon is really the Mahadasha Lord. So the first thing I thought was, well, if Moon is going to be the activation point, right? So then it's Rohini will be activated, like I was saying. Hasta, the hand, right, will also be activated here. And Shravana, fourth house. Fourth house is very, very private. And here's the name, right? So let's just, and I want you to pay attention to Saturn, right, in Dhanishta, right? So my first hunch was, well, if everything is pointing to the hand, I thought, well, maybe it was Samuel Alito that had leaked it. So I decided to take a look at Samuel Alito's chart. He was born on April 1st, 1956 at 12:56 p.m. Trenton, New Jersey. This is the Placidus chart. I, pulled it up, or sorry, not Placidus. This is the Western Tropical before I was looking just at, Vedic, sorry. So you'll see that Samuel Alito is Capricorn ascendant. And I was talking about the fact that the name Dhanishta, this is where Saturn is sitting. So if I pull up his sidereal chart, let's see. If I pull up his sidereal chart here, which is, yeah, this is right. So, why does this look different than I want it to, though? D1, ascendant, okay. There we go. Okay, sorry, I want to show you this first. So this is Samuel Alito's chart on the sidereal side. His ascendant's in Mula. Mula is ruled by K2, okay? That's the south node of the moon. When I was, first chart that I showed you guys, this is the chart of the leaked opinion. The ascendant's on K2, okay? Almost exact. Samuel Alito's ascendant is ruled by K2 in the sign of Mula. Mula is known as a sign of destruction. To be quite honest, this is where the galactic center is located. It's about the roots, getting down to the roots, okay? And that's very interesting. Now, I want you to take a look at Moon Rahu, because Moon Rahu is what is activated in the leaked chart. Guess where it's sitting? Here's Moon in the 12th house, in Jesta. And where is also Rahu? In Jesta, in Scorpio, hidden things, right? And look at, here's Saturn also in the 12th house of Anuranda, which has to do with friendship and partnership, which will also be important here. So hidden things, right? I mean, this is just fascinating. So my next, I'm just looking at a few other things here. So Mula. My next point for Samuel Alito was to go take a look at his which Mahadasha and Antardasha period he is currently in, and you'll be fascinated to find out that Samuel Alito right now is in a Rahu period, and at the time of the leak, he went into a Rahu Mercury period December 15th, 2019. So Rahu Mercury will be very important for him. So we're going to take a look at that. That's why I was talking about Rahu and Mercury before. And then he's going into a Rahu, then he went into a Rahu Ketu period in July. So right before the leak, right before he was ending, essentially, the Rahu Mercury period, the leak happened, right? Now he went into his Rahu Ketu period, and that's going to last for 1 year, 18 days. So Rahu Ketu are activated for him. Again, I'm going to show you the chart of the leaked opinion. Ketu in Vishaka, the branched one, sign of the quartz. Samuel Alito's ascendant's in Mula. He's in a K2 period. K2 activates Mula. And let's take a look at where K2's at. In Rohini, where the moon is at. Okay. That's where the moon is. This is the chart of the leaked opinion. Here's moon. And Samuel Alito, see, moon is at, let's see here, 12 minutes 44, or 12 degrees 44 minutes of Taurus and Rohini. Samuel Alito's K2 also in Rohini at 18 degrees, right? Okay, very interesting. So what we do here, if he's in a Rahu Mahadasha, we put Rahu as the ascendant. That's him, the illusionist, in Jesta. Jesta is known as the eldest, the chief, and the name. Here's Moon, right in Jesta. And Saturn is in Anuranda, which has to deal with devotion, friendship, partners, looking right at opposing Venus in Kritika. Again, we talked about the fact that Kritika was being activated because it was where the ascendant, or hold on, I just want to confuse you guys here. I want to go back to my other chart. In Barney, yeah. Rahu's in Kritika. That was the link, right? So Samuel Alito is going through his Rahu Mahadasha period. The Alito opinion, Rahu is in Kritika, activated by the sun. The name of the leaker, unknown. Saturn is preventing it. Danishta. The name is hidden. It's a partnership. Okay, so this is where I'm going with this. I think what happened is Samuel Alito leaked it, or perhaps his wife did, because this is commitment. Saturn, Venus, whether it's conjunction, opposition, it always deals with commitment of some type here. Honorata has a lot to do with devotion. I think it was the wife, to be quite honest. And Moon is activated here as well. Ascendant in Mula. So again, Mula is activated by K2. K2 is on the ascendant of the leaked opinion. Mercury, also in Kritika, the communicator. Rahu, in Kritika. At the time of the leaked opinion, Samuel Alito was going through a Rahu-Mercury period. And if you go look at his chart, very clearly shows where's Mercury? Tara Bhadrapada. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it has to do with kids, has to do with children, procreative life. Uttara Bhadrapada is activated by Saturn. Saturn's hidden, right? In the 12th house. I think it was the wife. Now, when are we going to find out about this? Well, okay, so the opinion right now is still going through its Moon Rahu period up until March 11th, and then it's Moon Jupiter, okay? So let's take a look at what's going on with Jupiter here. Where's Jupiter? Jupiter's at 4 degrees of Pisces. Uttara Bhadrapada. Again, it's Saturn. It's in a Saturn-ruled nakshatra. Yeah. So, and the thing is, there's some, Rahu's the illusionist. Rahu is very good with deceiving. But the thing is, there's only a few planets that can overcome Rahu, and that is, in fact, Jupiter. And Jupiter, Jupiter right now is, where is she? This was at the time of the opinion. So yeah, Jupiter's back in this point again. It's just fascinating to see. So Samuel is going to finish up his Rahu Ketu period in July, and then he goes into Rahu Venus. And remember what I was saying about Venus and how I think it was the wife that probably accidentally or maybe leaked it. So then Venus is activated for him. Venus is in critical. The sun will shine a light on this eventually. So that's my prediction here. Pretty clear though. I mean, if you really want to take a look here, I mean, this to me is everything, right? This is the leaked opinion, something very otherworldly. It's K2. And then I go and take a look at Samuel Alito's chart. Ascendants in Mula, activated by K2. He's going through his Rahu Mahadasha at the time of the leaked opinion. Mercury was in the Antradasha. Mercury's in, at least in his natal charts, in Uttara Bhadrapada, which is activated by Saturn. And remember what I was saying about giving a name to Nishta, the block, Saturn, right? And we took a look. You guys can see it for yourself. You can make whatever judgments, but that's my prediction. I think Samuel and his wife leaked that opinion. Let me know what you think.